This video contains flashing lights, unsettling content, violent content, and sexual suggestions. Viewer discretion advised.
Every now and again, video game developers like to drop little hidden goodies into their projects for avid gamers to discover.
While most are in-jokes, pop culture references, or fourth wall breaking events meant to reward in-depth exploration, some Easter eggs become infamous for being a strange and unusual break from the tone of the game.
Or maybe it's just baffling as to why anyone would want to include such weird content in the first place. Keep your eagle eyes open as we present you with the top 70 WTF Easter eggs in games.
Chair from Resident Evil 5. In fairness, this one is nowhere near as weird as some of the other Easter eggs we found on this list, but it's still such an out-of-place random addition to the game that it deserves a mention nonetheless. In the 13th level of the game, fresh off the back of defeating the Ouroboros, Chris and Chevy can both take a seat in its chair for a moment of silent contemplation. It won't restore your health, and there's no achievement or secret to unlock by doing so either. It's just there, for no obvious reason. Still, when you're on a mission that involves an awful lot of running around, fighting giant monsters and supernaturally fast assassins out for your blood, fatigue is just another entry on a laundry list of things to worry about. With this in mind, perhaps sparing a moment to take the weight off your feet and catch your breath isn't such a bad idea after all.
Drake's heavy petting, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Drake's many adventures across the world have him meeting all manner of colorful and dangerous characters. However, Uncharted 2 gives you the chance to engage with a slightly less expected group. In Chapter 16, while passing through the Tibetan village, Drake can interact with 4 individual yak by either petting them from the front or waving his hands when interacting from the rear. Not too fond of that yak smell.
How you doing, pal?
Upon greeting all 4, the Beast Mode medal is earned and Drake can continue on his wild exploits. Not exactly an explosive or fantastical Easter egg, but a nice side treat for animal lovers to break up the high-octane action. Tiny Bandit in Toy Car, Borderlands, the secret armory of General Knoxx. Demo Junction is where every vault hunter determined to survive the Borderlands stops off to resupply weapons, ammo, and supplies. Marcus runs the whole operation from the confines of his shop, an inconspicuous and heavily armed room filled with everything you'll need to fight off the bandits and monsters of Pandora. Take a look around and you might find... what the hell is that? Is that a mini bandit in a toy car?
Hey, you seen my gun?
No, and I don't think I want to. There's not much more to this little Easter egg. He's just, there. What the hell is Marcus doing with this thing anyway?
Zombie Date Dining, Zombie Army 4, Dead War. You may not believe that love can bloom on the battlefield, but there are 2 undead honeys that'll give you a run for your money. Located during the romantically named Ghost and Gondolas mission, looking out over the balcony, you'll see a pair of not quite star-crossed lovers, dining on what I can only assume is the finest cut of brains, extra rare, under bloody hearts daubed on the wall above and the text zombie love between. It's not too clear as to what's happening since it looks like they're discussing a particular topic and writing it down on pads with pens. Ain't this blossoming romance sweet? Well, it's up to you if you want to let the happy couple live or die in peace. Again, it's probably for the best. The relationship was likely to decay over time anyway. Pig Alert, Hitman Absolution. Death Factory lives up to its name as the horrible black heart of Dexter Industries. Used for weapon testing and experimentation, it's the kind of place where the living come to suffer in weird and horrific ways. As you enter their landmine testing zone, made up to look like a suburban street, you can find a corridor to the left-hand side of the room. At the very end, hidden inside a large wooden crate, is a pig who has managed to survive the torture and is snacking away quite happily. To activate the Easter egg, take out your pistol and put it out of its misery quick and painlessly. That was strange. It's believed by some that the exclamation point is in fact a reference to the Metal Gear franchise, but it's hard to tell as the crazed laughing isn't something that normally happens. Weird how this is by far the most disturbing thing you can find in this factory of death.
Panda Ride, Resident Evil 6. This playground panda is located right at the beginning of the third chapter of Chris and Pier's campaign. Chris can take a break from the mission to indulge in some lighthearted fun, rocking back and forth on the bouncy panda before striking a pose afterward. If the panda doesn't take your fancy, then the yellow slide nearby is fair game too, as both can surf down it. Seeing these two hardened soldiers decked out in military gear on the playground messing about completely shatters the immersion of the setting, and is both ridiculous and hilarious in equal measure. It just goes to show that just because the entire world is going to hell, it doesn't mean that your sense of humor needs to as well.
Nice! Try to be quicker.
Blow-up dolls in the cave from Saints Row the Third. Saints Row is a series that's crammed to bursting with crude humor and innuendos. But even so, this particular Easter egg may push those boundaries to a point where even a seasoned player becomes a little squeamish. Found in a small cave on the coastline near the southmost bridge connecting Stanfield and the Carver Island are two filthy mattresses with blow-up dolls laying on top of them. The implications are equally obvious and disturbing. To make matters worse, you can sometimes find homeless people seeking shelter from the elements around a bonfire in there, indicating that the area is not completely abandoned. Though thankfully they don't seem interested in taking advantage of the services on offer. Just count your blessings that the ones who were taking full advantage of this place are long gone by the time you get there. Though what transpired is probably best left solely to the imagination. The Dance Room from Walking Simulator 2020. After an exceedingly long walk, obviously, you wind up at a supermarket where you can stock up and resupply before venturing out on your next trek. However, if you swing around the side of the store and go through the back door, right. Well, figures the coffin dance would be featured in a game about walking. I mean, the dancer's shoes are pretty cool and all, but seriously, why is this happening? I just really hope this isn't an omen of what's to come at the end of this journey.
Giant Rat, Mirror's Edge. This game is all about epic-looking parkour stunts conducted by an underground network of couriers trading in banned goods and sensitive intel. Not massive mutant animals. As such, players will no doubt be left scratching their heads after seeing the surprise Chapter 8 of the story has to offer. After taking down the convoy with a well-placed sniper round, turn your attention to the poster hanging from the building across the street from you and shoot the white dot right in the middle. Almost looks like Larry from Rampage hopped universes to pay protagonist Faith a visit before vanishing off down the street as quickly as it arrived. Where it actually came from, where it went, and how it ever got so big to start with are queries that are never addressed. Perhaps the regime governing the city should consider allocating a little more money into their pest control business.
Turret Choir from Portal 2. They may be out to kill you, but no one can deny that the turrets GLaDOS sets out on you can produce some striking melodies on their downtime. And if you know where to look, you can even get a sneak preview of the main event before the end of this game. In Test Chamber 16 of Chapter 3, the player can find a small vent near the entrance to the chamber that's guarded by a turret. Through a combination of lasers, portals, and a reflective cube, the player can destroy the turret and gain access into the vent. Upon doing so, you'll find 4 turrets directly below you, merrily playing the turret wife serenade to themselves on an endless loop. Apparently for their own entertainment. Perhaps this Easter egg explains why the turrets were able to give such a moving performance as Chell ascends to her newfound freedom. After all, the key to perfection is lots and lots of practice.
Cavemen, Halo 3. With the mainline series focusing on the threat of destruction from several aliens, it comes as but a surprise that you'd find something more earthbound as an Easter egg. On the mission Sierra 117, on your way to rescue Sergeant Major Johnson, there'll be a brief battle between a Covenant ship and a UNSC dropship near a body of water. Once the area is clear, use the scope on a long-range rifle and look across the river to see the silhouette of a strange monkey-like creature in the trees along the opposite shore. Weird and stranger still is the vague achievement that'll pop up with it. In the next dense jungle area, hug the left wall as you clear out snipers, and platform up to a high ledge where you'll discover a family of cavemen with one of them holding a teddy bear. Cute! Well, as cute as having Bungie's Marcus R. Leto's face realistically pasted on the body of a female gorilla can be. Finally in the area, once you get a moment to breathe after the massive shootout, head to the bridge connecting the 2 parts of the structure and use a sniper rifle to peer over the gap to the cliffs on the other side. Nestled amongst some bushes is the final caveman, as well as the final achievement to be earned from your discovery. Who knew finding the missing link would be this easy? But the real moral of the story is, sometimes workplace pranks can be taken a little too far, like being programmed into your game.
Mr. Pants Star Constellation and TV Screen, Banjo Tooie. Rare has produced a multitude of classic and unique titles and characters. The one lesser known creation of Rare's is their website mascot, Mr. Pants, that has secretly shown up in many of their games. Banjo Tooie is no different. If you head to the Dodgem Zone and Witchy World Zone level and look up at the Starry Abyss, you can see Mr. Pants outlined as a constellation. However, this stellar cameo isn't his only appearance, as he also features on Boggy's TV and Hailfire Peaks. Apparently, Mr. Pants was originally the mascot specifically for the survey section on Rare's website, meant to encourage people to fill out their survey. He was later promoted to being their general mascot when feedback was so positive. Mr. Pants was created in only 30 seconds in a single day, yet has shown up in games like Jet Force, Gemini, and Viva Pinata.
Dancing Nights, RuneScape. In your grand adventures through the world of RuneScape, even the most battle-worn veteran needs time to relax and enjoy themselves. As it happens, there's a party room in Falador that makes for a good meeting spot to chill out and relax. There is a lever in the room near the party chest that provides an interesting show for 500 coins. 6 white knights will show up on the central table and perform a fun sing and dance routine, reminiscent of the scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Originally, the party room was located in Sears Village, but has been moved after the King's Ransom update. There is no way to interact with the knights in any way, and boy do they make for fine entertainment. 500 coins, well spent.
Disco Party, the Stanley Parable. Many consider the Stanley Parable to be a frontrunner for the title of the strangest, most surreal video game ever made, but this unexpected surprise may just top the charts of weirdness. To find it, simply follow the narrator's directions to the letter until you get to the monitor room. Stick around for a while after turning on the lights and activating the cameras, and the walkway that previously closed behind you will open up for you once more. Press the buttons a second time, and the room will switch from a sinister surveillance center to a swinging disco pad, complete with music, neon messages, and a multicolored monitor light show that brings to mind a dance floor in a 1980s nightclub. As to why exactly this massive bank of monitors has a party mode installed, we'll never know. But still, it's no less believable than that multitude of other twists and turns this game has in store for Stanley, and by extension, you. Perhaps the strangest thing of all is the narrator, who normally has a snarky remark locked and loaded for everything you do, but is completely silent during this discovery. Maybe this surprise is too off the wall for even him to wrap his head around.
Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Statue of Liberty, Twisted Metal 2. Hop in your nitro-boosted war machine and drive to the top of a building overlooking the Statue of Liberty. Light Lady Liberty up with enough missiles, and eventually her robe will be blown away, leaving her clad in what appears to be a two-piece bathing costume, as well as her hair turning blonde for no apparent reason. Keep the missiles flying, and you'll eventually destroy the monument entirely. It's also worth noting that sometimes when firing missiles at the Statue of Liberty, it will transform instead to a fatter version of the previous two-piece bathing model.
Chicken. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. The Overwatch map, no relation, takes place between 70 and 80 stories above ground level, on the skyline of a city with multiple buildings either destroyed or under construction surrounding you. It's not the best environment to mess around in if you have an aversion to heights, but luckily, if you look hard enough, it becomes clear that you're working with experts in the field. Using theater mode, if you journey up to the cabin of one of the cranes high above, you can see a motionless chicken at the controls for no apparent reason whatsoever. This feathered construction worker was most definitely left here for the very dedicated or extremely bored to find, both of which probably reacted with confusion upon finding it regardless. If at any point the crane is used as an offensive weapon, I think we can safely suspect foul play. Roxbury Sin episodes, Emergence. John Blade's quest to bring an end to Alexis Sinclair and her evil Syntech Industries' plans to manipulate human evolution is reaching a boiling point. You've fought through wave after wave of enemy soldiers and automatic defenses, discovered the Network Operations Center, and it is here that you notice a whole area gated off by a simple chain link fence. However, manipulate the boxes nearby into position and you can climb your way over the servers and find a hidden box of goodies. As well as, what is this? Appears to be cutouts of the characters Victor Raddick, Jessica Cannon, and Alexis Sinclair bobbing their heads in an homage to the infamous Roxbury Guys skit. Maybe it's a desperate plea from Alexis near the end of this dark chapter to John. Baby, don't hurt me? No, never mind.
Crop Circle. Metal Gear Solid 4. Guns of the Patriots. An obscure, outer space oddity, with a trophy attached to encourage players to seek it out. This piece of alien artistry can be spotted by observant explorers as Snake tracks Naomi's footprints through the mountain trail during Act 2 of the game. By taking the time to explore the multiple diverging pathways, Snake will eventually come across a random, flattened patch of grass and a clearing near the river, indicating that an extraterrestrial may have paid the area a visit sometime prior to his arrival. In addition, Snake will also experience a flashback of the AI Colonel from the second Metal Gear Solid game, where he mentions having seen mysterious glowing lights appearing in the sky. Is this a sign that Snake may soon have alien invaders to contend with in addition to gigantic mechs? Or is it more likely just a fun little reference the developer snuck in for veteran fans of the franchise to enjoy? You be the judge.
Mitten's Journal, Gone Home. During your explorations of the Greenbrier family home, uncovering the mystery of why the residents have all disappeared, you may not have been prepared for this journal entry by the family cat Mittens. The term meow is utilized creatively throughout the entry, giving a deep insight into the mind of a domestic feline and its life philosophy. To get your paws on this valuable treasure, you'll need to find the purple basketball in the garage rafters and toss something up to knock it down. Then slam dunk it into the basketball hoop in Sam's bedroom. This will trigger the TV in the room to turn on and a variety of cat noises can be heard.
Meow, 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 meow.
According to the devs, this Easter egg was created because many players simply don't look up in these type of games. So this is your reward for looking up. Thanks!
Oh, you found an Easter egg!
Who found it?
You found it! This is the best! You looked up! No one in a first-person game looks up!
Because there's no rewards to looking up.
Because it's hard to look up. Easter eggs are fun, and again, congratulations for looking up.
Strange standoff between white and blue colors. American Truck Simulator. As you transport your precious cargo across the sprawling lands of the USA, you're bound to see many confusing things regardless of the paths you take. Located just south of Pioche, in the state of Nevada, you'll come across a barricade made up of bulldozers, keeping the public away from an apparent protest, serious enough to involve the police. While the larger event is eye-catching at first, the strangest aspect is the dancing man on the roof of the nearby building, seemingly unaffiliated with either side of the standoff. There's no signs indicating what this is all about, no evidence of violence, no movement whatsoever, aside from that one guy boogieing down on the roof. All of this accumulates in a really out of place Easter egg that won't give you that feeling for dancing on the ceiling.
The Gnome Conference from Watch Dogs 2. A network of hackers trying to bring down an oppressive city-wide surveillance system should be used to uncovering secrets that would most try to keep behind closed doors. But even so, it's doubtful that even they could have seen this one coming. As you progress through the game, you'll come across a side quest that involves collecting garden gnomes, and one of them can be found behind a hedge outside the Transbase Center. That in itself isn't too bizarre. What is, however, is what you find a gnome doing when you come across it. Behind a hedge, the gnome appears to be holding some sort of rally with dozens of other gnomes in attendance, all while standing on a podium flanked by two teddy bears that seem to be providing security detail. Luckily for you, they don't put up much fuss when you steal their boss for your collection from right under their noses. Whether this was some kind of sinister conspiracy between the law and order of the city to overthrow their human oppressors, or just a wacky joke, is not yet known. Still, if you manage to track down all the gnomes concealed around your map, then you too can show your dedication to their cause.
Party Boat, Tower Unite. Tower Unite is no stranger to weird and wonderful hidden corners to be discovered and enjoyed. One such wonder is a party boat that can be found at the default condo whilst looking out to sea. There is a random chance for one of two similar looking party boats spawning out on the harbor each day, but this can also be induced by playing around with the day/night settings to speed through the cycle. The boats themselves are 2D sprites of a luxury style yachts that slowly moves along the water with loud dance music playing. Both vessels feature colored lights over the hull that helps them stand out in the night. One is called Christabel's Fancifer Mariner, while the other is named Fortuitous Happenstance 2. Due to the nature of spawning this Easter egg, many people would miss this entirely in normal play, but when you do find it, ride out the party long enough through the night and into the day.
Giant donut. Aliens. Colonial Marines. Donuts. Cartoon sitcom references aside, the especially observational gamer can find this bizarre surprise that quite literally comes out of nowhere in Chapter 7 of the campaign. As the team traverses a cliff edge on their way to rescue their teammate Bella, eagle-eyed players may spot an abandoned box of donuts lying on top of a cliff off to the right of their position. Shooting the box causes it to disappear, moments before a massive donut that wouldn't look out of place on the roof of a bakery chain barrels down the cliff towards you, Indiana Jones style. Sadly, this sweet dose of fun in an otherwise bleak and gritty story is short-lived, as the donut will quickly roll off the cliff and into a river of lava below. As tasty as these confections are, a massive one deep-fried in lava is probably a little too unappealing for even a group of seasoned soldiers up against the deadliest life forms in the universe.
Buck's Grooming Service. Halo 3 ODST. The Covenant have successfully overwhelmed Earth's forces and laid waste to New Mombasa and begun their excavation. 1 month later, Sergeant Major Johnson confronts the engineer, a biological supercomputer enslaved by the Covenant, to reveal its secrets to humanity and spill the beans on what exactly they're digging up. However, during the pivotal moment of this cutscene where the engineer and Johnson are shown face to face, the camera can be panned to the left where you'll see Buck awkwardly ruffling the fur of a caveman that is on the ship for some reason. He finds something in its fur and... gross. Seriously?
Rebecca's basketball image. Resident Evil 2. Leon and Claire will need to scrounge up any and all resources to survive. However, in the STAR's office at the police station, one can find the messy desk of Captain Albert Wesker, which, despite its appearance, has no items inside of it. Should you persist in checking the desk 50 times, you are rewarded with the item Film D. Once taken to the dark room to be processed, you discover it is actually a unique picture of Rebecca Chambers in a basketball outfit. Very easily missed without prior knowledge, this rather unusual Easter egg is not the most useful item during a survival horror situation. Just what the hell was Wesker doing with this picture in the first place? Perhaps his interest in Rebecca was less professional than first thought. Skywriting, God of War. To find this hidden secret in the sky, which appears to have been sent by the Wicked Witch of the West as opposed to any god, Kratos must first travel to the entrance of the Temple of the Oracle. Pressing R2 in 3 separate locations, the balcony to the left of the temple that houses a chest and a firefly, the top of the Gravedigger's biggest mound of dirt, and finally across the bridge away from the temple, will cause this warning from above to literally appear out of thin air. Kratos, for his most part, shrugs it off and presses on, partly because skywriting is far from the weirdest thing he's encountered on his travels, and partly because he's much too angry and vengeance-driven to let a little thing like ominous warnings from the heavens discourage him once he's set his mind to something.
The Giant Apple from Call of Duty Finest Hour. They say it's important to stay healthy when you're a soldier fighting on the front lines of a battlefield, so making sure you get your 5 a day is probably a good idea. However, this Easter egg may well be taking things a step too far. You can find this massive fruit right at the beginning of the Operation Little Saturn level. Instead of following your comrades into battle, you'll need to turn your tank around, drive up a slope, phase through the trees, and take a detour down the winding road along the mountainside. At the end, you'll find an absolutely colossal apple sitting amongst the cliffs and snow-covered trees, towering over you and the tank you're currently controlling. As if this Easter egg it wasn't strange enough already, driving into this apple also reveals that it contains an alien UFO, of all things. There's not much else to this encounter, so you'll be able to return to your teammates with one hell of a story to tell, assuming they don't discount your tale as some kind of hunger-based hallucination at least.
The Lucky Coin, Hitman Blood Money. Till death do us part, sees Agent 47 infiltrate a Mississippi wedding ceremony to paint the walls red, but hidden amongst the guests is a strange item. In the area where attendants have gathered to fight and dance under the sunset, heading to the far left side of the estate near the swamp will reveal a silver coin. Take out a silenced pistol and shoot it, but nothing happens. Until you turn around and see this. All the brawlers have stripped down to their toga wear and are applauding you for no apparent reason. While the attention is nice, it'll either be your worst nightmare or a dream come true. This doesn't last forever, as all men involved will return to fighting amongst themselves, albeit still underdressed for the occasion.
Nero rises from Rise, Son of Rome. During Chapter 7, Marius finds himself doing battle by a villa with a rather serene-looking pool overlooked by a Scorpio siege weapon. Clear out the area of the Praetorian hostels, being extremely careful not to hit any of the statues, and once that's done, with the Scorpio, aim and shoot at the two statues on either end of the semicircle surrounding the water feature. And lo and behold, the Emperor himself will rise up from the shallow depths to greet you. And from there, Nero just sorta spins there. Like a top. Well, I guess he's just about as useful here as he is an Emperor. Wonder what'll happen if we get a closer look at him. Well, I guess we can't expect him to be as brave as the other giant deities that appear throughout the game? I don't know. Still really random though.
Drunk Visions, Metro Last Light, Chronicles Pack. This DLC places you in the shoes of Pavel as he makes his escape from bandit-controlled districts of Venice, Russia. After all the close calls and near misses, no one would blame you if you felt the need to take a swig of the local moonshine to calm your nerves. Someone order a chorus line with their drink? Possibly an apparition caused by the Green Fairy herself. These dancing girls are ghostly images of the same cabaret show Artyom witnesses in the non-DLC mission Bolshoi. It seems Artyom isn't the only patron of the arts traveling the Metro line.
Dancing Northern Mapes, F.E.A.R Extraction Point. Northern is your stereotypical computer geek who appears as a minor adversary in the original F.E.A.R, but is deemed deceased by the conclusion of the game, much to the joy of everyone. However, he makes their reappearance in the non-canon Extraction Point in a rather bizarre way. In the Auburn Hospital, Interval 5, Malignancy, is a room named 56-B. In there is an air vent above the waterfall painting. Shooting the vent a few times opens up a wall in the room, leading to a secret area where you'll find mapes performing a rather odd dance in front of a strange picture. It's unknown why this exists beyond messing around with a very annoying character, which probably explains why you can still shoot and kill him mid-dance. Revenge fantasy aside, I doubt we'll be seeing the funky map stance added to Fortnite's roster anytime soon.
Peach's Secret, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. With everything Mario has done to save Princess Peach in the Mushroom Kingdom, you would think there would be no secrets between these two good friends. However, should one wander into Princess Peach's private chamber and inspect the fireplace, you'll find... Before you can examine the item, Toadstool's grandmother emerges and forces you out with a bribe of a mushroom and telling you to mind your own business, which only serves to make players more curious. If you return with Peach in the party and find it again, Peach will scold you for not respecting her personal property. From this point, the item is no longer found in the game. While there's no confirmation on what this mystery item is, considering reactions from both Peach and her grandmother, it's fair to say this is something she doesn't want anyone, especially her mustachioed hero, finding. Maybe the sweet and respected princess is not quite as innocent as we have been led to believe. Goat Bed, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. This odd and slightly disturbing surprise is located in an apartment complex near a skate park in the Hollywood level. After building up enough momentum to the balcony on the left, where you can find a weak wall. Smash through it and you'll be greeted with a random goat hanging out on a bed in the room, along with an enthusiastic man who has also stumbled across the animal in question. It's unclear exactly what's going on inside this room, but it may be best not to dwell on it too much. It's probably better to just get back to skating the city, so just back away. Slowly.
Alien Abduction, Colin McRae Rally. On almost any track at nighttime, there's a chance you can have an encounter with the third kind, closely. All that's required is that you unlock the tracks in question and enter the word Night Rider as your player name. This will unlock the side roads needed to find the Easter egg in question. So what do? Simple. Keep driving until you find yourself at a crossroad, and whichever way you're told to go down the opposite path. This can be as simple as skirting around a car meant to block the alternate route. This is the case with the map Corsica. As you reach the end of the path, your car will stall, and the player character will attempt in vain to restart the motor. Finally, this will happen. You'll suddenly reappear on the main path, having gained 9 minutes to your time, a common occurrence with reported abductions. It's also worth noting that the vehicle now moves around like jelly, an interesting unique effect.
Dancing Igos Servants, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. In the world of Termina, there are many magical and powerful masks that influence the world. The Bremen mask is humble in comparison to its counterparts, summoning animals to follow you like the Pied Piper. What is less known is that the same effect can be utilized against the Igos servants in the mini-boss fight in Ikana Valley's ruined castle. During the battle against the two serpents, using the Bremen mask will play the ocarina and cause both servants to march along to the tune played. This is a very odd Easter egg, and coming from Majora's Mask, a game filled with oddities and unnerving sights, that's saying something. Once the music ceases, the servants will continue their assault as per usual. Everyone's a critic.
Dogs Playing Poker. Fallout New Vegas. Old World Blues. While exploring the Big MT in search of your missing brain, you will come across a great many science facilities. The X8 facility in particular holds a very curious sight. After the school testing area, there is a room behind a window screen which has a number of cyber dogs looking at a Vault Girl poster. Should you have the Wild Wasteland trait, however, you will see something completely different. The cyber dogs will be arranged around a table playing a quick game of poker. This is a reference to a series of paintings, including the infamous Dogs Playing Poker, which was aimed at advertising a line of cigars in the late 1890s and early 1900s. Definitely a double take moment, which could be easily overlooked if you're speeding through Old World Blues. But since Obsidian was well known for putting Easter eggs in their original Fallout games, this is but one of many possible oddities to be found when utilizing the Wild Wasteland trait.
Starlene's Celestial Body, Ratchet & Clank. Blackwater City is where the hoverboarders come to grind rails, and rich and famous come to flaunt their talents. You'll be spending most of your time hanging around Starlene, the hoverboard event organizer for the planet, who takes a keen interest in Ratchet's superb skills. But some board players discovered between races that there was more to Starlene than meets the eye. Performing flips near her will cause her bust to balloon out to comically large proportions with zero reaction from either party. A cheeky inclusion from a developer who had way too much time on their hands? A hidden talent of Starlene's race? A coding error? Probably not. Regardless, it's still quite a strange and uncomfortable thing to include in this primarily kids game. Xbox Prototype, Ninja Gaiden 2. Found in Chapter 4 of the campaign, this out-of-place game console is hidden behind some wooden paneling in the deserted museum beneath the Statue of Liberty. Hayabusa can destroy these wooden planks, revealing a chest decorated with a glowing X symbol with a green dot in the center. And just to dispel any remaining doubt over what the reference is, it even makes the iconic power-up jingle of the console should you interact with it. It also comes with the added bonus of restoring his health as well, though exactly how an old games console is able to do that is anybody's guess. Secret Hot Tub Level, ToeJam and Earl. On their quest to restore the damaged spaceship, ToeJam and Earl will strut their way through a variety of environments, avoiding curious and harmful creatures. Although not all pose any actual danger. The first map has a secret island in the bottom left which is only accessible with a small selection of power-ups, such as rocket boots and wings to fly over the water. The island itself has a hole in the middle to fall down into a secret hot tub level. Here resides a dancing hula girl, a couple other girls in a hot tub, and a lemonade vendor which you can interact with for an extra life. Definitely the kind of place you'd expect to find these two cool dudes hanging out. Once you leave this area, you'll return to the farthest level you reach by that point, so no progress is lost. The only confusing thing is, why would these aliens want to leave this secret stage when everything they need is right here?
"23 Cats in a Boat." Assassin's Creed Unity. You've all heard the story about an owl and a pussycat going to sea. But what about 22 other cats also deciding to try their paws at it? Located in the riverways of Saint Marcel and La Bièvre is a random rowboat occupied by no less than 23 felines and a lone sailor who appears less than pleased about his current circumstances. Surprisingly enough, the cats appear to be quite content with their situation, despite their well-known hatred of water and the fact that it appears that they neglected to bring any oars with them on their journey, leaving them becalmed in the middle of the river with no obvious way to return to dry land. Exactly why they're there in the first place is a question that the game does not provide an answer to. Perhaps they wanted to try their luck at fishing, or maybe they're simply trying to get away from it all for a while. With the looming threat of a revolution brewing in France, taking a seafaring holiday may not be such a bad idea. Cupcake Outrage Newspaper, The Crew 2. The giant map of America has 10,000 kilometers of winding roads in various cities. With such a huge size, there was bound to be some Easter eggs and secrets hidden away. Located just a little northeast of hill country between a set of small hills lies a floating newspaper. If a player enters photo mode, they'll notice the headline, Cupcake Outrage. What this is a reference to remains a complete mystery. On the opposite side of it is an inverted photo of a basketball player. What's more interesting is that a black car spawns here facing the phenomenon, almost as if it's part of the government or some secret society. This strange setting is most likely a shout-out Easter egg to the first game, which was set in exactly the same location. The original headline read, "World Ending," and featured the body of a corpse on the ground near it. These were removed in the sequel, possibly to cater the age rating to a more family-friendly type of demographic.
Locust Toaster, Gears of War 2. This curious oddity can be found in Act 4, Hive, The Best Laid Plans. After exiting the large room where Delta Squad splits up, there's a number of pillars arranged in a half circle. In the middle is a locust embossed box. Shooting it will reveal a simplest, harmless toaster that has no business being there.
Oh, I was looking for this.
Curiously enough, if you interact with it, smoke will rise up and 2 slices of toast will pop out, followed by some rather humorous dialogue from the squad. Depending on the difficulty, Marcus and Dom will have more to share on this rather odd situation, with the insanity difficulty revealing the full dialogue.
What's toast?
I like 'em crispy.
I like 'em crispy on the outside.
Hell yeah.
So why is the random toaster there? You might assume it's just a fun Easter egg put in by the devs to lighten the mood, but as it turns out, Marcus misplaced it some time ago.
Snake's Dream, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, Substance. The Metal Gear Solid franchise is no stranger to Easter eggs and references to other media, but this particular one is probably the most obscure. When Snake is captured and tortured in Gronzigrad, then left in his cell, save the game before escaping, which will lead paramedic to tell about the Dracula movie. Snake, of course, falls asleep in the middle of the conversation. Restart the game, and if done correctly, your save file will be red and have a white flower by it. When selected, you will actually load into a hack-and-slash zombie game labeled as Guy Savage. Once you kill a certain number of zombies, Snake will wake up and the regular stealth espionage action will continue. Contacting allies through the codec will produce different responses relating to the sequence, even suggesting that it was a hallucination fed to Snake whilst incarcerated. For reference, Guy Savage was an original game idea from Hideo Kojima that was eventually cancelled before completion. Why this was added to Snake Eater remains a mystery to this day. But it prompted rumors that Snake may have fears of vampires or the undead. Given what he has to face shortly after this, I don't blame him.
I had the most amazing dream thanks to you.
Ah, you didn't really dream about Drac?
Don't say it. The last thing I need is a double feature. It was surreal. I was being attacked by a horde of weird human-like monsters. What's wrong with me?
Tanis riding a fish. Borderlands. It stands to reason that Borderlands would feature such a silly Easter egg, given that much of the series is built on insane and wacky humor. But how does one find this thing anyway? Well, you need access to Treacher's Landing and head to the most southeastern point of the map. Here you'll discover a hidden dock with a boat which will give you an achievement the moment you set foot on it. In order to see swimming seafood in action, you'll need to shoot a nearby yellow barrel in the water to the right, a green barrel on a mountain of trash directly out to sea, the blue barrel on the boat closest to the rear, and finally a red barrel to the left floating near the security tower. Wait a moment and several pillars will rise from the depths and Tanis will emerge to a dramatic fanfare in all her fishy glory before swimming off gloriously into the sunset. Absolutely random though, we can all agree that this image alone truly captures the essence of the Borderlands franchise.
The Christmas Tree from Mad Max. Tell me, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Mad Max? Well, whatever you just said, chances are it probably wasn't festive decorations. Still, that's what you end up getting in this utterly bizarre oddity that can be found to the east of Gastown, on the northernmost edge of the Dunes region. So, grab your magnum opus and take a trip out into the wasteland, where you'll find this random tree amongst the shifting sands, decorated with a star and some bubbles, ready and waiting to celebrate the 25th of December. As to how exactly a fertile tree managed to grow in a post-apocalyptic desert, and why someone felt the need to decorate it for a holiday that's been rendered null and void in the face of planet-wide Armageddon, is a question that ultimately goes unanswered for the remainder of the game. It's quite possible that this tree isn't even real, but instead it's a hallucination born from Max's broken, traumatized mind. I mean, with all the other strange occurrences that take place throughout his journey, it's honestly difficult to tell where his reality stops and his fantasy begins.
Idle screen. More down. Picture the scene. You're between matches in your typical medieval hack-and-slash multiplayer game, chilling on the menu screen. You turn away for 1 second, look back, and see this dude shaking his moneymaker as he ascends to the heavens. Though you're more likely to hear him before you notice him. This sprightly chap is Hans, the game's test dummy, rocking it to your total lack of activity. This Easter egg also carries with it a debuff, which may cause your parries to not work. This is easily remedied by pressing numpad 1 whilst in-game, but let it be a lesson to anyone who dares waste time out of glorious battle.
Bathing anime girls. Shadow Warrior. Lo Wang is a man of culture, honorable-ish, and has only the simplest taste in women. He's not looking for three-dimensional human beings with 60 frames of animation or voice lines. Master Leap doesn't make an appearance in this world. His daughters haven't changed one bit, or 16. They can be found in various hidden areas throughout the level, tastefully placed in such locations as behind a waterfall, and a bathtub, and manning the desk of your local dork room. Arcade. Although Wang really wanted these girls in 3D, he'll just have to settle for the double.
Seasick Pirate, Far Cry 3. You would think that the pirates would be used to sea travel given the lives they lead, so the idea of a seasick pirate is quite pathetic. Yet at map coordinates X800, Y640, there is a beach boat with a dead body by it. A short walk and swim out to sea will have you happen upon a pirate with his head over a toilet below sea level. This appears to be little more than a humorous sight, as well as a subtle jab at seafaring pirates possibly getting seasick. There are no prompts or prerequisites for this Easter egg, so it's purely visual. Nonetheless, it still leaves the question as to just how did both man and latrine make it this far down to the briny depths.
Alien Campers, Serious Sam, The Next Encounter. There are all manner of alien monstrosities that Sam must put down to thwart the invasion of Earth, yet not all of them are murderous killing machines per se. In the western area of the Virginian woods, there's a secret location just on the outskirts of a walled area. Upon approach, you will see a small group of bizarre camping aliens called Dib Dib Dum Dum, which resemble thin red aliens with huge camper packs. Once they notice you, they attack with melee moves which are easy to dodge and counter. As it turns out, these aliens were captured and modified for the purpose of scouting and exploration missions. This appears to be a joke poking fun at camping and scouting clubs, and Sam will exclaim upon killing them,
"Do I get a badge for killing you guys?"
Interestingly, at the campsite they appear to be roasting a gnar on a spit, despite no gnar enemies being present in this Serious Sam game.
Singing Vortigaunt, Half-Life 2. After escaping the Combine pursuit and destroying the attack helicopter near the end of Water Hazard, open the large gate and drive your airboat right then left. You'll approach 2 outflow pipes, with the left one partially open. With clever positioning of the boat, you can climb up and into the pipe opening and sprint through the toxic waste to reach an opening to a cave. In this cave is a small campfire with a singing Vortigaunt nearby. As soon as he notices you, however, he coughs and ceases his melody. With the dead head crabs on the side, it's implied the Vortigaunt ate them. It's possible to interact with him, to hear a variety of statements relating to Gordon Freeman, Half-Life 1, Vortigaunt philosophy, and its perspective on the plot of Half-Life 2.
We take our stand beside you here upon this miserable rock.
This Easter egg is very easy to miss, due to being quite well hidden and requiring some clever parkour to even access. Totally worth it for the fun distraction on your conquest to liberate humanity from the Combine.
No further compromise shall we allow.
Shadow Puppets, Trials Evolution. The weird and wild motorbike tracks laden throughout the game unsurprisingly house a particularly unusual series of Easter eggs. At the very start of the Way of the Ninja track, go backwards slightly then bail out, followed quickly by holding up and left. If you get on top of the barrier, then the Easter egg should activate by switching screens to a grainy old style projection featuring 2 shadowy squirrels. From here, you're presented with a rather elaborate silhouette play that has to be seen to be believed, showing a squirrel fighting off an enemy invasion. It's unknown as to why this exists at all, but it makes for a nice reward for intrepid explorers who reach areas of the map they probably shouldn't be getting into.
Out of Bounds, Motorcross Madness. An old and often overlooked title back in bygone days of PC gaming, Motorcross Madness is a rather simplistic but nonetheless satisfying motorbike riding experience. However, one lesser-known feature is what happens when you try to go too far out of bounds. On the far edges of the outdoor terrain maps sit large cliffs. It takes a few tries to scale these cliffs, but if you make it to the top and keep on going, you and your bike would be catapulted back with incredible force in the opposite direction. This is coupled with the sound of a cannon firing and the traditional cartoon falling sound effect, believed to be a dated means of preventing going out of bounds rather than just using an invisible wall. No amount of mad stunts or slick slides can prepare you for taking this scenic route across the map.
Rubber Ducky Boat, Just Cause 3. There are many powerful, speedy, and capable vehicles that Rico can acquire to aid his goal of liberation throughout general chaos. But there is one so useless and yet so joyful that it's worth seeking out. At a very specific lake on the main island, you can find a large rubber duck on its shores. With careful use of the grapple, you can drag the duck to the water, only to discover you can ride it much like a jet ski. While it is incredibly funny to see a battle-scarred Rico riding a large rubber duck, it has no weapons or functionality. Plus, since the lake is landlocked, there is no way to get the duck to open waters, which limits its usefulness for what little travel it's capable of. The duck cannot be unlocked at the Rebel Drop Garage, because according to Alessia, they can't do anything with it. So, it looks like birds of a feather don't flock together after all.
That beloved bookcase. Postal 2, Paradise Lost. Even for a game as crammed full with crude humor and just flat out weird occurrences, this encounter still manages to take the prize of being one of the weirdest. If you take a trip down to the cemetery, you can find a tombstone dedicated to the memory of, quote, that beloved bookcase. Now, with this being the postal universe, the postal guy can openly show his disrespect for the dead by urinating on the grave. What he most likely wasn't counting on, however, was the bookcase taking offense to that. Doing so will cause a humanoid being made entirely of books and shelving to rise out of the grave, packing a pair of knuckle dusters. They're obviously not too happy about having their eternal rest disturbed either, as they immediately try to put you 6 feet under in response. Luckily for you, this thing is no less vulnerable to weaponry than your average human being, and you'll need some resolve in this unexpected confrontation. It won't stop attacking until one of you is put out of commission. With no other option, you'll need to hit the books to make it out of this encounter, by making sure this bookcase rests in pieces from now on. Football Glory Tournament, Serious Sam 4. After speaking to Kenny on the bridge at the start of One More for the Road, head down the main road until you see a closed stall to your left. Just past it is a small alleyway down which you can hear the cries and cheers of hundreds of avid fans. There's only one thing that can generate a buzz like that: football.
Welcome to the Football Glory Tournament, starring Crow Team versus Crow Team!
It just so happens that a secret stadium is still open for business, featuring teams that weirdly look exactly like Sam. It's Scoring points for either team will net you armor and ammo, just like a smaller version of this Easter egg earlier in this game. There's only 2 other things you can do after witnessing such a surreal spectacle. Either you can blast the Sams to smithereens, or sit beside yourself in the stands and cheer for you, or, well, you.
Giant Cabbit, Saints Row 2. Like most kaiju, you wouldn't expect something this large to be able to hide itself beneath the ocean waves with ease, but it's so well hidden, it's virtually impossible to stumble across it without prior knowledge. To find it, grab yourself a boat or jet ski and head on over to Ruin Island, which is located out in the middle of nowhere off the west coast of the map. From there, you'll have to follow the arrows directing you to a series of other small islands nearby until you reach the 4th and final one, which will vanish out from underneath your feet once you step foot on it. Finding yourself in the middle of the sea surrounded by a ring of arrows, a gigantic bunny rises out of the depths before you like a cuter mammalian version of Godzilla.
Cake. Doom Eternal. No, this isn't a lie. Even with the whole world going to hell, you still have the chance to get your hands on one last slice of birthday cake if you're willing to put the effort in. Located near the Super Gore Nest in the 5th level of the campaign, spawning the sweet treat involves finding and destroying 3 balloons hidden around a collapsed bridge after previously obtaining the 3 keys scattered throughout the level. These balloons are found in a drainage pipe, underneath a destroyed bus, and beneath the hand of a fallen UAC mech. Bursting these balloons will cause the cake to spawn on a ledge overlooking the fallen bridge, topped off with a mega health collectible that's sure to give you a much needed energy boost. Unfortunately, you won't have time to savor your success, as 2 tyrants immediately spawn in to gatecrash your little one-man party. The Slayer naturally is in no mood to share his newfound dessert, so instead of cutting the cake, you'll swiftly go to work cutting the tyrants down to size instead. Rats with Guns. Max Payne. No amount of police training could have prepared Max to face a foe as strange as this. If you want to meet this firearm-wielding pack of violent vermin, you'll need 4 things. A hand grenade, the small hole in the wall at the beginning of the Live from the Crime Scene chapter, plenty of ammunition, and a decent dose of courage for good measure. To begin, smoke the rats out of their hole by tossing the grenade into it. This leads to the game declaring that you just declared a war against rats. From there, progress through the level as normal until you get to the platform where a number of rats can be seen scurrying across the ground. They're evidently none too pleased at Max blowing up their house, as they immediately all pull human-sized pistols on him in an attempt to smoke him out in turn. What follows is a deceptively tricky encounter, as the rats are a lot smaller, quicker, and harder to target than human foes that you've become accustomed to gunning down prior to this. With a bit of perseverance and quick thinking, however, Max will prevail.
Maiden Outlook at Night, Yume Tookie. Yume Tookie's dreamscape features a plethora of gorgeous and frightening sights laden with symbolism and secrets. Maiden Outlook is one of those locations. To access this location, you'll need to sit on the bench in Japantown and wait until the bus comes and picks you up. You'll eventually appear in a lovely overlook viewing a large statue of a woman. This area can be visited at sunset by random chance. But come across the outlook at night, you'll be blessed, or rather cursed, with an unnerving sight. The head of the maiden appears missing from the statue. The head flies around the location, moving closer and further away at random. Perhaps not the scariest thing to find in the game, it is nonetheless a jarring event you will soon forget. There's a thin line between dreams and nightmares, but which side is this on?
Giant Toilet, Crackdown 2. Pacific City is in the midst of being overrun by hordes of freaks. And to make matters worse, a terrorist organization called F.E.A.R planned to flush the keep straight down the toilet. Little does the agency know how literally this is. Agency Island has a very large smokestack. Should you dive down through the top, you'll fall down the rabbit hole and eventually find a giant toilet, splashing headfirst into the bowl. This will definitely catch anyone off guard and honestly begs the question, why is this thing sitting here beneath the city? And where does it even flush to? If blasting the scum out of Pacific City as option 1 doesn't work, at least they have this toilet as number 2.
Mermaid, Wild Woody. During the second stage course, there is a rather racy Easter egg to be found. Normally, you can sketch out things like mermaids and tornadoes to help remove threats. If you manage to gather 5 specific power-ups in a very specific order, you unlock a single-use mermaid power-up. Unlike other mermaids, this one is showing a bit more skin than her counterparts. But everything will return to normal once time is run out. Considering the difficulty of making this Easter egg happen at all, it is likely most players will miss this completely, most likely included by a dev with too much time on their hands. Perhaps they hoped it would encourage players to play through the rest of this game in hopes of finding more secrets like this.
Giant Crow, The Evil Within 2. Trapped in a virtual reality teeming with all manner of mutilated monsters out for your blood. Can this situation possibly get any weirder? As Sebastian can attest after laying eyes upon this abnormally large avian, yes, it very much can. If you want a glimpse for yourself, progress through the game to Chapter 3 and carefully search beneath the cars dotted throughout the town. There are 3 losts hidden amongst them. Be careful not to let them see you, or this Easter egg will not work. The losts will gather at the back of the North Safe House, where Sebastian must sneak kill them all from behind. Done correctly, the massive crow will be summoned nearby. Although it bucks the trend of most giant animals in this franchise have by not behaving aggressively towards you in any way, take it down and you'll be rewarded with a huge pile of green gel, and the feeling of satisfaction that comes with finding this odd secret. If you feel pleased about having done so, don't hesitate to crow about it.
Purple Hat Ending, Black Mesa. This fan-made remake of the original Half-Life game includes 2 achievements called the Rare Specimen and the Rarest Specimen. The requirements for which not only reference the infamous Little Rocket Man achievement of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, but also gives the ending of the game an unexpected twist if players are willing to go through the absolute pain and effort to obtain it. In Chapter 3 of the story, the player can find a small ledge hidden between 2 pipes located in Sector C of the Black Mesa facility, upon which rests a mysterious purple top hat. The player must then have to travel with it and keep it safe through the entire journey to Zen, eventually dropping it into the reactor along with themselves at the end of the game. It's almost worth noting that the player cannot use their weapons while the hat is picked up. Jumping through the reactor to Zen unlocks the achievement The Rare Specimen, but for the extra ending, the player must find the dropped hat in Zen. Which is hidden away in the rock face. Pick it up and carry it through the remainder of the game, right up until they finally defeat the Nihilith at the end of Chapter 18. Upon doing so, an achievement will pop, the final cutscene and the decision that follows plays out as normal, but with one major twist.
Or rather, in the hazard suit, I took the liberty of relieving you of your weapons. Most of them were government property.
The G-Man will now be wearing the hat while delivering his final monologue, still maintaining his professional demeanor throughout. This change of fashion stands out so much from the otherwise muted tones of his business suit that it's near impossible not to crack a smile over it.
You managed over there. I am impressed.
Whether or not this is an adequate reward for hauling that piece of gaudy headgear through nearly the entire game is subject to debate.
They agree with me that you have limitless potential.
Pied Piper statue. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Of all the locations in the Call of Duty franchise, it's already a little unusual that an Easter egg based on the popular German legend, the Pied Piper of Hamelin, should show up in the London-based Cheshire Park map. Released as part of the Season 4 update, open up the multiplayer map and begin your search for 5 mousetraps located randomly around the area. Destroy them to advance. Once the last trap has been dealt with, a huge slice of cheese will appear which you must collect. Then search for the rest of the wheel which, again, can be in one of several places around the map. Finally, return to the Pied Piper statue and place the cheese in place to begin the show. Well, that was colorfully disturbing. Turns out, after eating all that cheese, the mice weren't feeling too Gouda.
Golden Mutant Chicken, Dancing Wretch and Top Hat and Cane. Gears of War 3. 2 for the price of 1 with this entry. Finding the chicken is a simple matter, as it's in Act 1, anchored, so you don't need to travel very far to see it. To do so, hang around the 4 pipes on the sides of the ship until a button prompt gets Marcus to call out a greeting into each of them, at which point a standard farmyard chicken will inexplicably pop out to say hello. If you choose to indulge in a spot of video game cruelty by shooting this seemingly defenseless bird, you'll get away with it the first few times. Push your luck, however, and it'll decide to fight back in an extremely unexpected fashion. The chicken will suddenly grow to approximately 10 feet tall, turn gold, and attack you at blinding speed whilst breathing fire from its mouth, in addition to exploding into flowers once you recover from the shock and kill the thing. The Dancing Wretch will take significantly more effort to find. First, you'll need to jump into the Checkout multiplayer map in order to see it. Through a complex process involving fire alarms, extinguishing another alarm that ironically has set alight, shooting a top hat and cane that crop up in a shopping trolley and the ceiling of a restroom, and finally extinguishing near the room where the wretch spawns, this Easter egg makes you work in order to catch a glimpse of it. If done correctly, you'll be rewarded with the hilarious image of a wretch busting some moves while decked out in stylish headwear, and a cane that gives it a neat Victorian gentleman vibe. Opening fire will make the wretch vanish back into the smoke, as mysteriously as it first appeared, though not before leaving its accessories as a parting gift.
Alien abduction, dying light. The following. Having a city full of zombies is crazy enough, but add aliens to the mix, and that just brings it to a whole new level of insanity. As part of the following expansion, you'll be able to encounter 15 glowing rocks strewn across the map, each seemingly useless at any other point in the game. However, make your way to the small cottage in the countryside and place them in the attic. Soon, you'll discover that there's more to these stones that meet the eye, as outside you find this.
Hello, mister! Wow, hello! What you got inside? Yes, hello! Doctor!
I'm not entirely sure what outer space intelligences hope to learn from that, but it sure as hell was confusing. One thing's for certain, they could have picked a better spot to drop you off. With your feet firmly planted back on Earth, you'll find 5 uranophobic fission cores hidden in your inventory as a parting gift, but the encounter doesn't end here. If you head east and dive deep into the ocean just off the coast of a small islet, you'll find another flying saucer wedged in the depths. Inside a hatch, you'll discover a stargazer outfit, a blueprint for the uranophobic Fabaceous Ornithomancer, and some money for your troubles. Just what is a uranophobic Fabaceous Ornithomancer? Fun.
Gaining over it, just cause 4. A game known for fast action and explosions, every minute would seem like an odd place for a slow-paced precision minigame. Yet in the Picos Helados region, at the southeast border to Hanasacha region, is a very suspicious cauldron that you can enter like a regular vehicle. Once inside, the screen enters at a side-on angle like a 2D platformer, and your only means of movement is to push and pull yourself along. This is a barefaced reference to the game Getting Over It with Benifotti, which requires you to climb an increasingly difficult set of objects to reach the top. You even have narrations from a variety of in-game characters and Benifotti himself.
Now I know you're most likely watching this Easter egg online, where someone else has discovered and recorded it for you like a baby bird being fed chewed up food. Don't worry, that's culture too.
If you can complete the minigame with your sanity still intact, then you are rewarded with the option to play this minigame anywhere on the game map by simply calling for it like any other vehicle. Though why you would want to put yourself through even more torture raises several questions we don't want answering.
Bottle Rocket, Hitman 2. The Atlantide space program needs the help of a specialty hitman to launch their latest vessel into orbit, and you're just the man for the job. In the A Silver Tongue special assignment, part of the second pack of missions by the same name, Agent 47 must infiltrate the Miami International Street Circuit and eliminate the conman CEO of the bottled water company Atlantide. However, if you're feeling a little thirsty for hidden Easter eggs, search around for 3 bottles of Atlantide water hidden on various rooftops around the level. It'll require a silent sniper rifle and some stealthy platforming around restricted areas, but shoot all 3 and red domes will light up on the top of a building in the distance. Once this objective is completed, head to the VIP area and you'll find a pedestal with a button prompting you to launch. Launch what, you might ask? Whoops. Guess that won't be breaking out of the atmosphere anytime soon.
Out of this dimension, Star Fox. In your quest to remove the threat of Andross from the galaxy, there is a well-known black hole in the center of the galactic map, ominously hanging in the void. During the second stage of the hard route, there will be a large asteroid to the right which, if shot enough, will trigger an egg to fly out and hatch a large space bird. If you crash into it, you will be taken to an entirely new stage called Out of This Dimension, along with a call from General Pepper calling out for you to save the galaxy from Andross. The stage itself features its own music track along with a morphing background made up of a number of planets with faces on their surfaces. Unique paper enemies will spawn and attack during the stage until you reach the boss in the form of a giant slot machine. To defeat this boss, you need to get a 777, which causes the boss to release a jackpot and explode. And just like that, the credits play and the end text appears in a broken font which you can restore by shooting the letters. But since you truly haven't beaten the game, you cannot progress without restarting the whole thing. Here, you are trapped forever, lost in a dimension while Andross runs rampant throughout the galaxy. Hope that jackpot was worth it. Raz's Weird Dream, Psychonauts 2. The world of Psychonauts is one that is only restricted by the imagination, as the mind is part of the adventure. This can lead to the discovery of all manner of weird and wonderful experiences. One such experience will leave the player with so many questions. After completing the main storyline, return to the Hollis Hot Streak level, enter the maternity ward, and follow the mental connection nodes to the top of the entrance tunnel. When confronted with a giant roulette machine, use telekinesis to grab a nearby giant pen and throw it at the ward sign. This will trigger a simple animation that shows Raz being rushed into a maternity ward, somehow being a pregnant male.
Kiss this piglet's behind. Lobato was almost defeated for good.
The details as to how and why this occurred are carefully omitted, bringing forward a comedic yet slightly disturbing sequence which ends with being kicked back to the game with Raz remarking,
"Ugh, not that dream again."
The sequence is weird in itself, but thought that Raz had this dream before is even more disturbing. The theory is that this is a reference to Pen Ward, who is a popular animator, and since activating this requires tossing a giant pen at a ward sign, then it's a reasonable theory.
I would like to dedicate this small portion of the video to Scott Campbell, art director of Psychonauts, artist of Psychonauts 2, and illustrator of Zombie in Love, a childhood book of mine. When I was in elementary school, I was doing an art project using recycled goods with my mom as part of a contest in multiple school districts. She had taken a liking to the book Zombie in Love and wanted to use the characters from the book in some way with our art project, but we were not quite sure if we could use them without getting in trouble. She sent an email to Mr. Campbell about it just in case, and he responded very quickly, saying he was more than happy to let us use them. He asked if we could send him a picture of it when it was all done, and he seemed very excited that his characters were being used. Fast forward 10 years, I sent Mr. Campbell an email thanking him for allowing me to use the characters as it was an important moment from my childhood, and that I was just loading up Psychonauts for this top list and recognized his art style. To my surprise, he remembered me in the project, and was interested in seeing footage I would be getting from Psychonauts. This is a thank you to Mr. Campbell, someone who cherishes the memories of those inspired by his work. I hope many more are inspired by you. Keep it up.
Did you enjoy the video? Why not click the bell icon and subscribe to see more content from us at Tats.Videos. And now let's see the creators of this video.